Still taking a moment. There we go. We are live. Brian, welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Champions. It's so good to be chatting to you, man. It's absolutely awesome. And thank you
Thanks for having me, Nick.
it's an honor and a privilege. And it's very cool because you do get mentioned a couple of times on some of the podcasts.
Someone usually sends it to me.
Yeah. Primarily for the abs and making the rest of us look bad. And you mentioned next week is your birthday.
Yep.
So that's going to be absolutely awesome. Happy birthday. How old are you turning?
54 years old.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, there we go. So ladies and gentlemen, shining example of the value of powerlifting and healthy living. Listen, and making the rest of us look bad by the pool in Sun City. So yeah. Are you coming out for Masters?
I do what I can.
Yeah, you do it very well. Are you going to be out here for Masters in Cape Town?
I don't believe so. I'm limiting my competitions for the rest of the year. I'm going to do Worlds, and then I'm going to take a little break. My body needs a little break.
Yeah.
And get ready for Nats. And then next year, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay. You'll carry on. We need you. We need you in the sport.
I'll be doing something. It's just which specific events. I'm not sure yet.
Perfect. Fantastic. So can you give us a little bit of a background for our viewers and listeners who don't know who you are? Who is Brian Colbourne? And a little bit of your background, sir.
I'm originally from Newfoundland, Canada. I've been living in Alberta, Canada for about 25 years, perhaps. I love it here. It's a beautiful province.
Awesome.
I've been powerlifting 9, going on 10 years. I really enjoy it. I really fell in love with the sport, and it pushes me to be a better person and to look after myself. I'm worried about Father Time catching up with me, and powerlifting is the tool I use to escape that.
To beat poor Father Time with a 25-kilo plate.
Yeah, exactly. He's currently undefeated, so I've got my work cut out.
This is true. I don't think any of us have won a battle with him yet, but yeah. So how did you come to the sport? How did you find powerlifting?
It's a funny story. I used to be married to a powerlifter, and I had trained in a lot of other things, pseudo bodybuilding type stuff. And I'd injured my shoulder, and she suggested I get a powerlifting coach to rehab my shoulder. And my original intent was for us to do it together. That didn't work out.
Okay.
I fell in love with the sport, and she faded from it. So.
Okay. And that was 10 years ago?
Yeah, just about.
Okay. And your first competition, what was that like?
It was a local competition that my gym at the time in Fort McMurray had been putting on. And I wanted to compete. That was the goal. It was pretty soon into my training. And the owner of the gym said, "Hey, we need bodies competing. Okay. So you're competing." So I ended up qualifying for provincials, and it just rolled from there. I just fell in love with trying to push myself more to reach more levels. I went to provincials. I got a silver medal, which was good, and I qualified for the regionals. It took me a year or so to qualify for nationals, and then once that happened, I was on to my first international tournament, which was South Africa.
Okay, cool. Was that the bench or before?
Yeah, World Bench.
World Bench. So that's sort of where we met, and the famous Canadian pool corner at at the Cabanas Hotel was absolutely fantastic. I think you had fancier hotels in the resort, but there was something very special about the energy and the vibe. And for me, I don't think there's a better breakfast location in any of the hotels than what we had at the Cabanas. It was a lot of fun. How was that comp for you?
I really enjoyed it. It really ignited my passion for powerlifting. Just the vibe, the fact that I met so many people from so many other countries, the sense of community that powerlifting gives is amazing anyway.
Yeah.
But at a world level, it was something else. And you get so caught up in the environment and the vibe, you forget that you're halfway across the world.
Right. Yeah. Go on. Sorry, me getting
And Team
excited.
Canada
Yep.
are some of the they're some of the closest friends I have now. They're a group of amazing people, and every year it just gets tighter and tighter. They're the biggest support system going, and everybody is a top-notch quality human.
100%. Do you think it's mainly Pam's bullying that contributes?
It's definitely a factor.
Yeah, definitely a factor.
Not a lot of questions, and I get told a lot of things.
100%. She's certainly a force to be reckoned with.
That being said, I'm grateful for every bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge part of all of this starting was really from Pam's side as well, because she sort of I think she got bullied Sam to come on, and then got they were like one of the first people that we spoke to on the podcast at Sun City, and it just sort of grew. She sent us more people, and then I think when the other countries saw how many people were coming on, they felt comfortable to come and chat to us. So we do owe her quite a bit. Now, for you with Sun City, how was that competition for you? What did you think of the venue and the location?
It was gorgeous. I made a mistake I didn't realize in South Africa in May was your winter season. So I expected it to be a lot warmer, and didn't really bring any pants. So I was wandering around in shorts, freezing in the evening time most of the time.
Yep.
But it was beautiful, just how everything there was just completely embedded in nature, completely different than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And the people were amazing. Like, the locals were amazing, very accommodating, very well-spoken. The food was incredibly fresh and incredibly cheap.
Yep.
And I'm not used to that.
Fresh, and I mean, the meat is amazing. Everything's really good. And what was your favorite restaurant?
What's that place called? The Tomahawk?
Yeah. Okay. The Spur. Yep. That's it.
Spur. Yeah.
Tomahawk Spur.
I like that. And there was another restaurant that was the Italian place right next to Nando's.
Okay. Yep. Not Premi, but I know the one you're thinking of. It'll come to me in a minute. The food was.
That's where we used to congregate as a group usually.
You know, if you're walking around in the middle of winter in shorts, people are going to assume that you're either an engineer or Afrikaans. So like a farmer, because that's what the guys do. Engineers always in shorts and farmers always in shorts. So it's not a problem. And I think
it's funny because I work in engineering. So
there you go. I rest my case. The proof you didn't really mean to bring the shorts. So the one thing that I loved with that comp, well, firstly was having time to be able to go and hang out at the pool. At Masters and Commonwealth, we had virtually no free time, but which is, I suppose, when you're working at a comp, that's what happens. But the fact that you could walk around the entire Sun City complex, right, and just bump into powerlifters from all over the world, it was something that was really amazing.
Yeah, and it was a vast property. Like, you didn't feel cramped at all. It was like a small city.
Yep, absolutely.
You'd run into people absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, very, very cool. I think next year we're going to have World Juniors there in 2026, and 2027 bench again is going to be in Cape Town. But chatting to some of the guys, they're expecting about 3,000 athletes to come through to World Bench in 2027. That's the number they're expecting. How the sport is growing.
Great.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's an
absolutely
insane amount
insane.
of athletes.
Yep. So how was the comp for you in terms of results and getting what you wanted? Did it meet your expectations?
I fell a tiny bit short. I had arrived 11 p.m. By the time I had gotten to the hotel, it was about 1 o'clock,
Mm.
and then I was on the platform less than 12 hours later.
Okay, wow.
That was my poor planning in flights, but so I learned that. My performance was fine. I did great. It was more of getting my feet wet, getting used to the international atmosphere. I learned a lot about equipment, and the way I could set up my equipment.
Yes.
I believe Coach Gary used to joke that when I wrap my wrist wraps, he said Brian likes to wrap them down to the elbow. So I was quickly told by the TC that you cannot do that.
You had some pretty great TCs at that competition, I believe.
They were very, very nice, very knowledgeable.
That's awesome. I think a good TC really helps that competition move smoothly, and it's about prepping the athlete before they get out to the platform. Even in the tunnel, you should be watching what's going on behind for the next few lifters coming out, because you don't want to put any extra pressure on the lifter, especially for their first attempts. So now you've got another international coming up, I believe, next month.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that?
It'll be a different vibe for me. I'm actually going to push myself quite a bit more. I'm going to try to break my own provincial record, and let's see if I can push myself up a little higher on the international rankings. It's going to be a lot more athletes this time.
Yep.
They say close to 1,500, but I'm really going to push myself a little bit harder this time. I'm going to leave it all out there.
Oh, fantastic. I think you're also lifting quite early in the comp, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's within the first couple of days, yeah.
Yeah. So also get in, and then are you going to be able to spend a little bit of time there and just hang out and enjoy the competition?
I'm going to spend a couple of days at the comp after, watch my friends compete. And then my lady and I are going to take almost 2 weeks in Norway. So.
Okay, fantastic. Salmon is amazing. The food there is great. Not as cost effective as South Africa, but it's still not too
right here.
Yeah, it's still not too bad. When we were in Sweden, we found the best thing to do actually is to go shopping at the deli counters at the supermarkets. And you can get everything fresh and pre-made. The salmon is out of this world. So it's going to be great. I wanted to ask you about Team Canada. And I suppose I can say this to all of the teams that I chat to. I'm fortunate we built up some great relationships because they're great guys. But what is it that you think makes Team Canada so very, very special?
Support. It's not about the individual. Everyone is there. They're so supportive of each other. We're a team.
Mm-hmm.
We're representing Canada, our country, place that we live and love. And everybody comes together. Doesn't matter what part of Canada you're from. A lot of these people are thousands and thousands of kilometers away from me. And as soon as I see them, it's big hugs, ask how your training's going, and then they show up to watch their fellow athletes. Like, they often say when the crowd is loud, they say, "Oh, Team Canada must be here."
100%. That is one thing that I do remember, especially from World Bench, was how many of Team Canada were either in the back assisting or in the front cheering. Like, I don't think anyone had much time to explore and hang out and, you know, just do stuff for themselves. They were there to support their team.
It's like that every Worlds. Austin was the same way. People that weren't competing for a couple of days were in the back. They were getting people water. If you needed something to eat, they were helping out, loading plates for warm-ups. It's a really excellent vibe. It's what keeps me in powerlifting.
100%. So, well, let's chat about that a little bit. And we've got a comment here as well. I hope I'm not going to butcher the pronunciation. Sunaya Riyad, that says what's up. So I don't know if they're just someone saying what's up to us or to you directly. So I apologize.
No idea who that is.
Yeah, sorry for the pronunciation. I'm famous for that. That's why they put me on the microphone. What is it that makes it so special? And within powerlifting itself, because I think the Canadians that I know, you're wonderful, wonderful guys. It's a wonderful sport. What is it so special that keeps people in the sport?
When it comes down to it, when it's go time, it's just you out there, right? You go out, you do your work, and you come back. I don't hear anybody who's cheering for me, if they are, when I'm on the platform. But when you come into the back, it's that pride that they take in your work, and that support. It's literally everything.
100%. That's very, very well said. So you mentioned when we first started chatting, right, that and again, it's a tremendous honor for me to be chatting to you. That you fighting Father Time and you're using the sport of powerlifting to do that. And the one thing that I've noticed with you over the years is very consistent with your training posts in terms of what you're doing, and they're very methodical and to the point, and it's getting the work done. There's no flash basically in the posts, and there's no external audio tracks or animations, or it's about the training. How important is the training to you in terms of building the life that you want 10, 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years from now?
So some people often refer to powerlifting as therapy. And for me, I find that's very true. It's a base, it's an anchor. Even I just worked out of town for a week before, like a month before I went out of town. I got a membership at a gym I know well. I know that supports powerlifters, so that as soon as I got to town, I can train as soon as I need. I was pulling 14, 16-hour days, and after that, I was in the gym. I also seek to inspire the old guys out there. I've had feedback from some guys saying, "Hey, man, I see you doing it, and I know I can do it."
Sure.
And I've seen a lot of them go from the beer belly to looking slim, looking strong. Some of them I've even helped get into their first competitions, and I've shown up to handle them. And people are like, "Well, you're helping this guy. Are you his coach? Is he paying you?" I'm like, no, I'm just here to help this guy. He asked for help, and who doesn't deserve a little help when they need it?
100%. I mean, Brian, that's powerlifting in a nutshell. What has powerlifting given you in terms of fighting that battle?
It's given me the most valuable tool I have in my life. It teaches you humility. Teaches you persistence, and it gives you a reward for the work that you put in. It gives you a value.
Right.
Above all, I've learned to value myself more, because powerlifting is not a linear path. It's not just show up, you keep showing up, you get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
It's up, it's down, it's injury. It's you have to learn to deal with the hard things to get to where you're going, and that just transfers over in every part of your life.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And it teaches you as well. And I think I love what you said about the showing up part, because the reward from powerlifting is proportionate to the consistency you put in. The more consistent you are, the more consistent your progress is going to be. And that may not be progress in terms of rising numbers. It may just be in the ability to rehab an injury, the ability to be stronger, the ability to move better. But the more effort and energy you put in consistently, the greater the rewards. And that's life in a nutshell.
True. And it's like people say, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
No, that's it.
Right?
We should actually be, I think when you become Master 2, you're glad it's not a sprint. You're glad it's a marathon.
That's right.
So, yeah, you started lifting as a Master 1, same as I did, sort of coming in your 40s. So if you're speaking to guys out there and you're living it by example in terms of what you're doing and helping guys, why should guys, older guys, okay, sorry, not older, late teenagers, so in their 40s, because we're late in our teens, 14s.
Seasoned teenagers.
Seasoned teenagers. I love that. There we go. We're in our 50s, we're veteran teenagers. It's seasoned teenagers and veteran teenagers. If you are a little bit older as a guy, let's speak to the guys, because I've had a lot of, with the girls that we chat to, they're very focused on this as well for the ladies. For the guys, what's important? Why is this so important? Why is this so valuable?
Because a lot of people don't think about themselves. They think about themselves in the present. They don't think about themselves 5 years from now. They don't think about themselves 10 years from now. They don't think about being able to carry your grandkids, being able to go to the park with them, run around, throw the frisbee. This stuff all happens years before. It's maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
You only get one chassis in this life, like any car. If you don't maintain it, it falls apart. It rusts. It's the gift that we give ourselves, and the dividends pay off for the rest of our lives.
Sure.
And a lot of people don't realize that. Everything is they put a time limit on stuff. Oh, I'm going to do this for 6 months, and I'm going to lose 40 pounds, and then that's it. It's not like that. It's a lifestyle, and it's one that constantly rewards.
Constant reward. What have you got from the sport sort of on a day-to-day basis in terms of strength, mobility, energy? How's that enhanced your life? Because you also do some pretty physical stuff for a living.
Yeah, I do a lot of climbing. I work in non-destructive testing on cranes and lift equipment, and some of those are quite large. It's a lot of long days. It's a lot of time working outside in the hot sun. I could be crawling on my belly underneath of a piece of equipment, or I could be 700 feet in the sky. And you're not going to do that at 54 if you're sitting on the couch and watching Netflix all night.
Yeah, absolutely. A great line I heard about that is when you choose to live your life like that on the couch with Netflix or drinking or eating badly, you're stealing from your old man. And
exactly.
It's about building that old guy. I think one of the challenges we face as men, and I'd like your opinion on this, is we start out at school, we sporty, we energized, we're running around from the age of 2, like lunatics, and that carries on for almost 30 years. And suddenly we start to get a little bit older. Maybe we get, we start a family, we start to pick up a bit of weight, we start to slow down. But a lot of that strength benefit that we had when we were younger, we're still able to carry through to an extent. So we can run up 2 stories of stairs instead of 10. And we're like, okay, we start to make little concessions in terms of maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm a bit run down. And before we know it, we're a fraction of the physical capacity that we had 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I don't know if you find that to be quite a thing sort of in the community that you're in, where we start out strong and like superheroes, but if we don't do the maintenance, we lose that very quickly.
It's true. And if the decline starts off slow, slow enough that you don't notice it. But as you get older, it grows at an exponential rate until you wind up in a place that you don't want to be
in.
And a lot of people think, well, it's too late for me. I'm old now. It's never too late. You're not going to rocket into, the perfect physique or, all this strength. But you got to show up. The hardest part is just getting there. My big motivational motto is never let the old man in.
Yep.
If you don't stop, he won't show up. You know what I mean? It's just consistency. If every day can't be a banger, you're not going to show up and push or pull your best every single day. But if you show up and do something, you've done your job. Like just keep showing up. That's the hard part. I never look down on anybody who's in the gym, no matter what kind of shape they're in or what weight they're pulling. They're here.
Yeah.
And they're working.
That's it. 100%. And it's, yeah, you know, it hits me quite hard because I see it with certain people around me. And even with my late dad, he got to a point physically where he pretty much just stopped doing what he needed to do. And he had friends of his that he would walk with and move to Cape Town. And I saw him slowly give away his mobility. And for him, he was fine, you know, like, okay, I'm going to get a walking stick for a couple of days because my hip's sore. And that became 5 years. And then I need a walking stick that can balance, which is almost a walker. And that's it's given away. We have to keep fighting for it every day. And I'm sure you can outpace some of the substantially younger guys in terms of lifting and energy and fitness. So if we spoke to people and said to them, why should they do powerlifting? You know, guys, why powerlifting versus maybe high rocks or CrossFit or other types of sport, cycling, running, golf? What's so special about powerlifting?
It, in my opinion, it gives you functional strength, things that you would be doing anyway. If you're an older gentleman or lady and you can still squat your body to depth with no weight, you could still pull something up off the ground and pick something up. Maybe you're changing the tires on your car. It's functional strength, pushing, pulling. And I do encourage people. Powerlifting is something that really helps me. And but there are other things. You don't have to limit what you do, right? If you want to do a bit of CrossFit, which I'm not going to pop up CrossFit. I think lifting weights incredibly fast.
Yeah,
it's probably not a great idea.
Doing stuff for time over 25 is never a good idea.
Yeah.
That's why we get a minute from bar loaded to go and get the start command.
Yeah, and in the gym it's 2 or 3.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, so we say, okay, yeah, it's a lot safer. I mean, I think it's probably the safest form of exercise out there.
You can tell that from the amount of people who are in their senior years and still do it, 70 years old, you know. It's a lot of the people on Team Canada are 60 plus.
Yeah. Oh, and
that's got to tell you something.
Absolutely. And we got Julia, she's actually my bio. She bullies me. She's a competitive powerlifter. She's watching as well. So, Jules, if you want to drop any comments about the value of powerlifting versus CrossFit or high rocks or some of these other fast-paced things. Paddle, I think, is a big thing. And paddle in South Africa is huge. I think you guys have got pickleball as well, where guys,
yes,
you know, injuries.
I've heard rumors of it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it is.
No, the bios and the physios and the chiropractors love it because it's, hey, I can do this, and then you know you end up hurting yourself quite badly because there's no real warm up and working towards it and injury prevention stuff. So absolutely, and I think what's beautiful about powerlifting is that you have a set workout that you do. You can see very early on in your training session how you're feeling, how everything's firing. Should you be backing it off a little bit because you're feeling tired? You can't keep your shoulders back on the deadlift. You know, you're doing more leg drive than you would want, and your butt's coming up, and you're pulling more with your back than you would normally do. So you can assess it very quickly, even on rep 1 of 5 or rep 3 of 8, that it's a very sensible way to train. And I think if you have a coach as well that you can work with, you can stop it before you get into trouble. Where I think on a mountain bike race or a bicycle, You're in
Yeah,
trouble
yeah.
usually when you're hitting the ground, heavens forbid.
Yeah, especially using a lot of the popular systems like RPE and stuff.
Mm.
You can adjust the weight slightly and get all the benefit you were looking for
Yep.
that day. And the numbers just change ever so slightly. And it's
And
you're still getting all the benefit.
yeah, and it's moving you into the safer zone, but still giving you the benefits. I love that. Absolutely. And again, nothing against cycling or mountain biking or CrossFit. We're just talking about the greatest sport in the history of the world ever. So and I think good powerlifting technique will help you in any sport that you choose to do.
True.
Yeah. And I think for older guys, and again, well, I'm not making this about older guy podcast. But, you know, it's a sense of community, right? And I think that's the biggest indicator of longevity is access to community and involvement with community, where they talk about quad mass and glute mass for mobility, where you can go and visit friends. And that's for men and for women, that you need community. And powerlifting is a great, great, great community.
It's true. And especially as you get older, a lot of your friends move away, or some of them, may no longer be with us.
Yeah.
So some people find themselves, they have a very limited circle. And if you get into a sport like powerlifting, a lot of the masters athletes that I compete around the same time, some of them are some of my closest friends now. They're the guys that show up to every comp. They're the guys that show up to help set up, volunteer. They're the guys that, and I say guys, I mean men and women, please. They're the ones that show up to ref, help out, and it's the community is what brings them there, right?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. For you, how was your transition from Master 1 to Master 2? Were there like new records now that you were eyeing and saying, hey, this is actually a lot more fun than I thought? What was that like for you?
I didn't even consider records. I don't consider myself an exceptionally strong individual. I won't say I try to stay humble. Maybe I just, I think a little less of myself than I should, but I never considered even breaking a record, or that I would ever break a record until I broke one.
You're right.
And I was doing bench only at nationals, and I was chasing a number, and that was a 300-pound bench at 50 years old. And my coach purposely didn't tell me that the number I was going for was the current record, because he knew I would do something stupid and try to beat it. And I'm the king of bad game day decisions. I need a coach. I need a handler just to bring me back to reality. But once that happened, once I broke my first record, I started chasing some. It was one of the reasons I got into equipped lifting.
Yeah.
The record, I could beat the equipped record with my raw bench. So I said, hey, let's go take this. And then Pam needed a training partner, and I wanted to get into it. So Pam told me I was her training partner now.
Yeah, Pam told
the rest is history.
You were her training partner. Absolutely.
I'm very glad she did.
Yeah.
It's the best thing that happened.
Awesome.
I've really fallen in love with equipped lifting.
So what is it about equipped lifting, and we'll go back to the records now, what is it about equipped lifting for you that's so special?
Makes you feel like a superhero.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it, in a nutshell.
And people say, well, if you're using that shirt, you're kind of cheating. I'm like, no, if everybody's using it, it's the same. It's like calling a pole vaulter a high jumper that cheats.
Yeah, exactly.
They all get to use the pole, right? So,
but for me, I just think if anyone says that, and with all due respect to whoever said that, that is the dumbest statement on the history of the world. Because what you're going to do is you're going to take an incredibly strong steel cable, the thickness of a human hair, and you're going to replace your bench with that. And then you're going to go and lift nearly double the weight that you would do in your normal bench. Like the margin for error, the lack of forgiveness in equipped bench versus normal bench. I mean, I'm lucky I've got teeth because of my first bench
Yep.
comp. Boy, kick, and then finally I figured I'm just going to keep it as far away from me as possible. And then I got it.
It's a whole different animal.
That's it. If you want to know why tricep extensions on the bench are so important. But like it's very, very special. So can you tell us about how that's been going for you?
It's been going really good. I have a really good coach. She has a lot of knowledge and she's been very patient with me. But that being said as well, I listen to someone with experience. I don't assume that I know I went into it not assuming I knew anything about it. My raw bench and my equip bench are completely different setups, completely different grip widths. It's a completely different exercise for me. And a lot of people may go in assuming they know how to bench. Yeah, you might know how to raw bench, but you don't know how to equip bench. And I'm hungry to learn.
Yeah. I think that's such another fantastic point, Brian, because it's the gift for me. Equipped has been the gift of falling in love again with the sport you've fallen in love with, and being able to find something much more technical to learn. I think the bench is the most technical lift, particularly for me. And then you go and put a shirt on, and it becomes a completely different game. It's something that's
you get two
special.
people to help you put a shirt on.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, no, hold on. I was in a borrowed shirt that was from 1947, and and if I could get it on, okay, I need a little bit of help, but yeah, that's it. When you're getting those shirts on, and everyone's going, "What's with all those plastic bags?" Yeah,
it really kind of sparked it for me. Because I was at a point where I've been doing it for 7 or 8 years, and I was maybe getting a little bored.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking about taking a break. And Pam was the one that suggested. She goes, "Why don't you try equip?" And I'm like, "I don't know, him and Han." And then she borrowed a shirt and said, "Let's try on the shirt. Let's give the shirt a go." And then once I got it on, I tried it, and then I was getting advice like, "Okay, let's try a wider grip. Let's try a wider stance." And as the pieces were coming together, I was noticing what I was doing was improving. So it was that instant gratification. I knew the basics of benching, and I had read some stuff on equip, but seeing your work translate into results fairly quickly was the biggest thing. And I was like, this is fun. And like when you're bored and something fun comes along, right? That's all you need.
That's all you need. Absolutely. Oh, love it. You mentioned earlier sort of chatting about having a coach and, sort of to keep your head on the game on game day and not let you do silly stuff and manage the numbers, that you're not thinking about the numbers. And, this is something I think many coaches struggle with while they're building relationships with their athletes. It's like your job as the athlete is to move the weight. The coach and to get 3 white lights, the coach's job is to do everything else. Don't worry about the numbers. Just go and move the weight. So how important is it to have a coach? What would you tell people who perhaps don't have coaches? Why should they get a coach? What's the value?
The main value is the outside pair of knowledgeable eyes to see the holes in your technique, to give you the slightest, smallest tips that can help you do better, keep you from getting hurt. A lot of people, if you're looking for programming online or you're trying to program yourself, if you look at the amount of information that's out there,
sure,
it can be incredibly overwhelming.
Yeah.
YouTube is full of everything. How do you know what's right? How do you know what's right for you? How do you know if it's going to get you where you want to go? For a small investment, you don't have to think about that anymore. You get a good coach. The only thing I would recommend would be to get a reputable coach.
Yeah.
I have 2 coaches. I have a raw and 3 lift coach, and I have my equip coach, Pam.
Yep.
And everybody has very specific jobs, right? It it's taking all the stuff that isn't fun out of it.
Yeah.
And leaving you with the good stuff.
Just leaving you with
right?
the good stuff. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like to think about programming.
Mm.
I like to open it up and say, yeah, I'm doing this today.
Yeah.
The worst thing I got to think about is maybe adjusting the weight because I'm tired, or maybe adjusting it because I feel really great that day.
Yeah.
We're going to push some more weight. But a coach is a valuable asset that everybody should at least try out. Simply be humble enough to know you don't know enough about what you're getting into. And if it's something new to you, then I 100% guarantee you don't know enough about it.
100, and you could have been doing it for 10 or 15 years, 20 years, and you still don't know enough, because we can always learn from one another. You know, that's for me.
Constantly learning.
I think I was a coach for maybe 8 years before I started getting into refereeing, and then moving up the levels, and then it just escalates your game so quickly.
Yep.
And then, you know, going and sitting on the jury once I got my Cat 2, just to sit and learn and listen. And we had the opportunity that I could sit by the side of the table, not part of the jury, but just to watch and learn. And the little things that are being shared by these people with incredible knowledge, absolutely invaluable. And I think coaching, and as you said, investing, making that little investment, it's an investment in yourself. And we've all come through such challenges over the years, the last few years in particular. Spend a little bit of that money on yourself. If you can't afford it, find someone. Guaranteed in powerlifting, someone's going to be willing to come to you and say, okay, fine, what can you afford? And they'll give you some of their time, as much of their time. A good coach is invaluable. Online coaches are great. They've helped escalate the sport. But if you can have a coach that's one-on-one, face-to-face, it's invaluable.
It is. It's it'll maximize your dividends.
Yeah. And your quality of life, right? And you'll build a friendship,
100%.
and a relationship. And then you start to train with the other athletes that the coach has. So it's like, you know, and you build a community. I think on that point, I wanted to ask you, how have you seen changes in Team Canada since bench press in essays to what you're going out now? How's everything working together? How's the team working? What's it like being on the team?
It's just getting better. Everybody gets closer and new people come in, and the way that Team Canada accepts new people is very good. And it'll always be someone else who like does an introduction, and it's so funny to see it happen. It's like, hey, this is my buddy. He's new to the team. He's an awesome guy. You're an awesome guy. Let's all be awesome together. And that's literally how it goes. And all of a sudden you got a new friend.
Sure. With a shared common interest and stuff to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's very, very cool. So is there anything sort of about the upcoming Worlds now that you can share? Anything you want to chat about, or are you guys under strict instructions to keep that under wraps?
No, we're Team Canada, so we're going to come over there and we're going to kick all the ass and
make the noise.
We're going to make the noise. We're going to be very polite. Thank you, and we're going to say sorry, and we're going to have the biggest smiles in the whole place.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Phenomenal. And if there's a swimming pool, don't sit next to Brian. He's going to embarrass you.
I'm getting ready right now.
The abs are coming. 100%. So a couple of fun questions just as we start to wrap up. And I could talk to you for hours about this. And I've told Pam, she's messaged me already. She said, are you coming to Worlds? I'm working on it because one of our biggest corporates and our first corporate client, I got told a couple of days ago, is having a wellness day, and they're going to have about 300-400 staff. And they need me. They've asked me to be there, not just my team. And that's on the 20th of May, which is smack bang in the middle of the competition. So if I can figure out a way that that doesn't cost me $10,000 to get there and back quickly, then I'm definitely going to come and visit. So otherwise, yeah.
I'd love to see you.
No, it would.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. It would be absolutely epic. I'm going to bring you a South African flag Speedo swimming costume. That I'm going to have to do. So next time I'm seeing you, a Faf de Klerk
I'll wear it with pride.
There is 100%. See, look, South Africa supports me. So
there you go.
100%. So as a fun one, what is your favorite thing about powerlifting? So 2 fun questions. What's your favorite thing? And then what drives you mad?
Bench press is my favorite thing because I can lie down while I do it.
Yeah, love it.
As an old guy, it's good to lie down and take a little rest.
Yep, 100. You can nap, right?
Yeah, you can nap between sets. You don't even have to get up.
You don't even have to get up. That's fantastic. They could just give you a pillow and a blanket. It would be a lot better. Chocolate, marshmallows, you're sorted.
Yeah, a couple of 15 kg plates, put them on the bench. There's your pillow.
There we go. Yeah, a hardcore bench presser, absolutely. And what drives you mad about the sport?
I don't know if there's a lot that drives me mad.
Like, what's your least favorite? Like, purely from a fun point of view.
Deadlifts drive me mad, but they're my deadlifts, not everybody else's deadlifts.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm a little old. I'm a little stiff. I've really I'm still it's a code I'm still trying to crack.
Right.
And I'll get there one of these days, and I'm hoping that day is pretty soon because it's infuriating me most days.
Could we make it Thursday, please? That would be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fantastic. Bro, is there anything else you'd like to share or talk about before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm pretty good. It was an honor to be here, and anytime you need me back on, I'm ready.
So definitely, if we could, if you guys can have time, maybe at the comp after you compete or a little bit before, that would be epic. I've got Sam on next week, but if you guys are there, the 3 of you, I'd love to be able to chat to you there just to get a sense of how it's going and what's happening. That'll be phenomenal.
It'll be awesome.
Absolutely. Oh. And hanging out and chatting with you guys and spending time with you guys was a huge factor in me wanting to start this and giving me energy to drive it, because I wanted to share the joy of powerlifting with people, what makes it so special. I wanted to give athletes a showcase, whether, it's to help with sponsorship or awareness of the sport and that. But what I got from it was the most wonderful friendships that have developed and people all over the world. And, Commonwealth, I want to come out to Canada next year. So, because you guys are hosting. So, I think it's going to be...
Yeah, I believe it's in Winnipeg.
Something
like that.
That's it.
That's not far from where I'm at.
Okay, epic. You have to come on bench, man. Going to be not far.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. That's it. Yeah. I'll show you my deadlifts, and you'll love your deadlifts forever. Bro, for I think nearly 3 years, I couldn't deadlift or squat over 125 because of my back. Just the nerve wouldn't support it. So my benching 165 in a shirt on my first equip comp, but couldn't pull a 125 deadlift. So we understand.
See,
frustrating, but the community keeps me in. It keeps us in. So I wanted to give a big thank you to you guys, because you were a huge driving factor behind this podcast and the energy to push through. Before Commonwealth and Masters last year, I think I did about 50 in 3 weeks. It was like averaging 7 a day. It was crazy, but it was epic. And that, a lot of it's because of you, Pam and Sam and the Canadian guys and the other guys I met at Worlds. It was awesome, dude. So thank you.
You are very welcome. It's our pleasure.
So I'm going to wrap up the podcast, and then I'll just chat to you quickly off air. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Brian, thank you for joining us. Canadian legend, the Iron Unicorn. Dude, you changed it. I love it. Okay. That meant the world to me.
Just for you.
I had to get that in there just before the end of the podcast. So we've had quite a few people join us on Instagram. It'll be back up in a few minutes. People can jump back on in about 10 minutes and watch the interview from the beginning. So, Brian, thank you so much. I'll chat to you now.
Thank you, Nick.